Hello everyone, I'm Xiang Wei. This fall semester, I took college writing class R4B with Professor Michael Larkin, and I learned a lot in my final project about how to write a research paper. So now I would like to share with you all. So I've heard about one sentence which is really important and it affected me a lot. So that sentence is writing is like a muscle. You need to exercise it regularly to develop and keep it in shape. So it means like we cannot do something like, oh, DDL is now, it's tonight, so I need to do it now, like 5 hours before DDL. What we need to do is we need to start a project really early and gradually build up all the things we have. So today, I would like to talk about three things that I think is very important for writing a research paper and long essays. So, the first one, we need to find evidence, like find a lot of evidence, so that we need to read a lot of resources and how to find those resources. Like there are two main ways. So the first way is like we have college or university libraries, which is very useful resource we often overlook. So we use it as an important resource to read. The second thing we have is the bibliography or reference. So when we find very good research paper online, we can go down to look at its reference. So if a paper we think is very important, it must have been learned from some other important research papers. So that's what we also need to read. So research papers, like it's like conversation between experts. So we definitely know that people who knows more would like to talk with another people who knows more, and that's why we can like find resources from Google Scholar or library and also from the reference. When we look at that reference, there are also important thing for us to keep notes. If we are browsing the website and we found something really important, we can use Power Notes. I used it. It's an extension for Google and it's acceptable. It's pretty good to use actually. So this is my first point to sum up. It's called a bibliography process. So we need to like find a resource and write down it's like use MLA to record it. Then we need to write two paragraphs. The first paragraph is about the summarization of the whole of that paper. The second part is about the verification of its credibility. So we need to see why we can believe it. So it's from our evaluation about the author, about the magazines that paper published in. So there are a lot of things to check. This introduces to our next step. So for the first step, we actually need like it depends on how long your paper is, but it should have been more than 2 weeks for you to gather information. The second thing is to lay out a structure. After you read a lot of papers, you have a basic structure of like you have basic idea about your thesis, about what evidence you want to cover. So you need to write down first your claim, your main thesis, and then for each paragraph you need to write your claims first, evidence for that claim, sometimes explanation for that claim, then writing it in a Word in the Google Doc is good, but you can also use other things like Google Slides or Prezi to present it out to other people. And while you're talking or expressing it to other people, you will have a different feeling about your thesis and you can get feedback from others. It's also very good. So we summarize this process as the storyboard. Yeah, what a beautiful name, right? So after you lay out a structure and talk with other people, this will not take so long, but you need to actually speak out. This comes to our then comes our third process, which is also the last. So you need to start to write. Here I will recommend a very useful book that I've read, which is called Craft of Research. Yeah, it's this book. And I use this book to learn a lot about different sections, how I can write them, and what things I need to pay attention to. It's really important, so I recommend it to you. After reading this book, we start to write. One of the most important suggestions I have is you need to write fast and revise slow. So for me, I didn't follow this rule. I wrote one thing on a day, and after 3 days, I think, oh, I haven't read it, but I haven't written it. So I started to work on it. But when I worked on it, I basically forget all the things I want to cover in front of that paper. So I need to go back and revisit all the things that I've written about. And then after another 1,000 word, I leave it alone and just for 3 or 4 days. After 4 days, I return it, and I found, oh, still I forgot what I covered in the front, so I need to go back again. This is pretty time consuming. So what I suggest is to write fast, so you have a basic structure of all your paper, and then revise slow. Because when you revise, you can just focus on a basic one structure of your paper, and then work on each blocks. Okay, so this is what I learned from my college writing R4B classes. Hope it's helpful for you. That's all. Thank you.